Hello, welcome back to the channel. I have Thibault, who is going to help us learn how to play APBA Baseball Master version. He has some really cool videos on his channel about how to do that, which I've watched. And so he has kindly agreed to give me some advanced training on how to do that. So, um, couple things for what we're going to do is just talk a little bit about the master version, if that's
Right.
okay, and then
Yeah.
get into a game and just see if we can figure out with your help how to play. So,
Yeah.
um, the very first thing is you are a APA Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Last year they elected me at the convention. They have that Atlanta convention every year.
Okay,
And
that's awesome. So,
a
what
lot of it
exactly
was
does that mean?
well, it's what they have they started these conventions. They started the Hall of Fame probably around 2001.
Hmm.
And every year APA they pick a couple people who bought in the community who maybe even have some people that are in the Hall of Fame that already even know they're in the Hall of Fame, like George Bush. Like like
Oh,
he
okay,
played in the White House. He probably doesn't
okay,
even know he's in the Apple Hall of Fame. But he's in the Apple Hall of Fame. But over the years, they pick a couple of folks who are maybe like ambassadors or goodwill to the company. They're out in the community, telling a story about APA and just sharing with everyone else how the game is it's a good thing in the society. It's something really a lot of guys our age. It's we grew up in the non-video game era,
hmm,
and we just this was like what we had, when we were kids, and we just took it. We're still playing it now. Like for a
yeah,
lot of us, like 50, 60 years later, we're playing it.
right,
So last year, it is actually a lot of due to you guys in the YouTube community. Because when they inducted me, they said it was because a lot of the YouTube work I did and promoting the APA and just saying good things about the company, and it's been a great it's been a great part of my life, APA.
hmm,
So
yeah. Well, that
like
congratulations.
a lot of us, So
Yeah,
I
I
was
mean,
really
obviously,
happy. I was surprised, but it's
yeah, I mean that's
it's
great.
humbling. Yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm obviously grew up a strat guy, so
yeah,
they just
yeah.
started a Hall of Fame. So, I mean, I don't think I'll ever get into that echelon. So, to be able to be elected to the Apple Hall of Fame, that be in your game, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of it's a great experience. I mean, the main thing is that convention, you getting down there, you're around the people that run APA, they see you down there, and
Yeah.
not just on YouTube, but like when we're down there, we do a lot of like training and coaching, and like we play sample game, like folks trying out the golf game or trying out the hockey game, and we just do a lot of like just trying to bring more folks into the game and more people into the game, and it's a good time.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah,
So, your videos are great. I was really happy to see. I think about 8, 9 months ago, you did that
yeah,
about how to play the master version.
yep.
You said that it's the greatest simulation of cards and dice baseball available.
Yeah,
Uh,
I believe that to be the case.
okay.
I played a lot of games of it. I mean, I'm probably approaching 10,000, if not near 10 over that.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, like, my son said something funny the other day. He's like, Dad, like, if you're not sick of that by now, like, you'll never get sick of
Yeah.
that. But, and I don't know why. I mean, I play a lot of different games. I mean, I play Strat, Replay, other things, but I always come back to this Master game.
Hmm.
And I don't know if it's just familiarity, but I just like how everything kind of fits together, and it's really like a really tight production as far as the rules, like we were just talking about.
Hmm.
Um, the the APA card is the same as basic. I'd say probably about 75% of the APA game or the master game is probably the same as basic.
Hmm.
It does have the added like left right splits, and then more of the decision making with the basic game. It's almost like you're in the stands with your hot dog and your beer. You're
Right.
watching the game unfold. The game almost plays itself, if you think about it. You're just rolling the dice and just
Mhm.
watching what happens. Whereas the master game, you're making decisions as if like you're almost like a player on the field. Like you're making a decision of like a right fielder to throw home or to cut off the ball. So you actually make a little more decisions like when you're rolling when you're playing the game like you were actually on the field making that decision.
Mhm.
So, which I think is really cool about the Master game. And plus the steal, a lot of things like the steals, like I mentioned in one of my videos, like if you're playing a basic game, you might have a 10-run lead, and then an 11 will come up, and you're like, a guy
Mm.
steals base. Well, someone's not going to steal base; they're up 11 runs. But
Right.
Master game is all your decision
Okay.
as far as making the call on the steals. The pitching grades, it does add a little bit of um, variance there. You know,
Mhm.
even though it's 30 numerical grades, it's still, as I show on my videos, it still basically comes down to like you're still A, B, C, D guys.
Right.
It's on the chart. You could see like a certain range, like for example, like base is empty is something like a grade 8 to a grade 12 would take away a hit on if you roll a 9 hit number.
Mhm.
Whereas that grade 8 to grade 12, you think in the basic game, like the C pitcher takes away the nines, when the
Mhm.
base is empty. So if you're like a grade 8 to a 12, you're effectively like a C pitcher. That's pretty much roughly equates if you look at the grade on the pitcher in the master game versus the grade on the basic game. It's still going to come out to like 4 grades. So you're thinking like, why do we even do 30 grades then if we're just going to do that? Well, the fun part comes in with the left-right splits on there. So I was just looking. I mean, you have a guy. I don't know if you have Cesar Geronimo. We were talking about playing 79.
Actually, I started Dave Collins today, but
Dave Collins. Okay.
but I can
Well,
get I can here's Geronimo's card.
okay. Just for an example, because this is a guy I always think when I play that era of
Oh, you
APBA.
got him.
Yeah, I got him right here. I always think Cesar Geronimo. He always struggled against lefties. He's a lefty hitter, and for example, every year you'll see Geronimo's card. Some year he like so in '79 where we're playing, he's a -5.
Mhm.
So minus means that if you're looking at these cards when you're saying minuses and pluses, you're going to see a lot of it in the master game. He's a minus this or a plus that. Um, the minuses typically mean it's not good for that card, that player's card.
Right.
Um, catcher, if they have a +5, that means that's good. If they have like a -5 arm, that's bad. Think of the minus and plus as being good or bad for that player. The reason I brought up Geronimo was like example, like I have Bill Lee starting for the Expos, say.
Mhm.
For example, so if you look at Bill Lee's card, he's a master game like a 12 rating. He's a left-handed pitcher, Bill Lee.
Mhm.
See a 12. So remember, I was just saying like 8 to 12 or 8 to 12 is like a C pitcher.
Mhm.
But if you look at if he's facing Geronimo, he's a -5 against lefties. So that means the pitcher is gonna go up 5. So he's gonna actually add 5 points to Lee's grade and make Lee a 17 now versus where Lee would start at a 12. So Lee jumps from a 12 to a 17 when he's facing Geronimo.
Right.
That basically he turns Bill Lee into like from a C to like a B pitcher or like a B to an A pitcher.
Mhm.
So that's what's the nice thing about the master game is these like characteristics will like they'll either knock you down too. So sometimes someone will be a good they'll knock the pitcher downwards as well. So they could turn like an A pitcher into like a D pitcher for that at bat if
Right.
someone really hits that side pitcher really well. So a lot of fun things about the master game.
So is it a little bit like reap or payoff pitch in that you have the splits for the batters, but not for the pitchers?
Yeah. It's they do have that because the batters don't have splits, but the pitchers do have the splits. But
Well,
the,
actually, with
the
the ratings, isn't it the other way around? Because actually, what it's saying is that Geronimo is not very good against lefties.
right, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
So the pitcher, but so they're basically they're not saying that Maddox is better against righties,
uh
which is
right. That's correct.
which is like
That's
payoff
correct.
pitch.
Yeah, it's like
You
payoff
know,
pitch. It's kind of
payoff
like
pitch.
one dimensional almost. Yeah,
Payoff pitch. They have the pitcher's cards, and it doesn't deviate between lefty and righties. The batter's
right.
cards do. So
Yeah,
they have the splits for the hitters, but not for the pitchers. Is that accurate?
Yeah, you're close with that. They do have how they create the cards though. Like when they're creating the grades, it's driven by like that league ERA. So like the grade of the pitcher is driven really much. They call it a weighted average grade, which a lot of times like a 9. Now, a weighted average grade would be like the average grade of all the pitchers in that set.
Okay.
So they do base the you're right though, the pitcher themselves, like you said, Maddox, his card, or like say Lee, for example, his card is not going to show he's better against lefties. So
Right.
it's like payoff pitch.
Okay.
But the results are baked into the card. So there are some things that's over my head about like how the cards are created.
Sure.
But I think it's it's really based on these grades are really based on like that league ERA. And these the hit placements could be very based on that year too. So but
Okay.
that's you're right about that.
Yeah, that was one thing I was
Yeah,
wondering. So,
yeah,
um, before we get into the game, um, you mentioned that the difference between basic and advanced. Basic is basically you're in the stands. When you're doing the
right,
master,
right,
there's a lot of decisions. So most of us play these games, play solo.
right,
So
right, right.
So when you're making decisions for both, uh, do you have I mean, are there people who have some home brewed rules, or
Yeah,
do you just kinda make the best decision you can?
right. That is a good question, RG. With the that comes up in the base, especially on the base advancement on like the cutoff plays, things like that.
Right.
There's a lot of guys that say, "Well, I want something like replay, for example, where you roll dice and the replay chart will tell you even if a guy holds or not."
Mhm.
Whereas APBA doesn't do that. It's either you're either going to send them or you're not going to send them.
Right.
So it doesn't give you it doesn't make the decision for you to hold that runner. So you have to decide and kind of live with your decision on that. Now, um, playing solo with that, I haven't had too much issue with it, and it's actually it's more of almost a personal preference. Like if I'm thinking in that game situation, maybe they will try to like do the cutoff because they would rather get an out. Like an out's more valuable than a run in that situation. Let's just try that for fun, then I'll calculate it. It's not there's no chart. It's all just seat of my pants if I want to do it that way. I know some guys are really working hard on trying to get a chart for that, as far as like finding some kind of way to like there's like almost they almost want that replay chart. I mean, one of my friends, he really wanted that chart. He wanted a chart or dice roll to decide what's going to happen in
Mhm.
that situation. And I said it's not there, but here's the replay chart. I actually sent him a picture of the replay, like that third base coach chart, if you're familiar with replay. And
Mhm.
I said maybe like you can maybe apply this to APA somehow. So
Somewhere, yeah. Yeah, I know
but
your video where you did, to me, like, it seems like the base advance is the big thing.
yeah,
And so you did the video where you had the bases loaded.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
so it's like, okay, the guy on third automatically scores. The
right,
guy on second can go for home. The guy for third or the guy on first can go to third.
yeah,
You can cut it off. So
right,
those are all the decision. Say those are the offensive decisions, except for the cutoff. The
right,
defense, you can throw home. You can throw to third. You can
yeah,
cut it off, and
yep,
then the guy you have to decide if the guy at first is going to try to go to second on the throw. And so
yes,
again, there's a lot of if you had two people playing,
yeah.
that would be a hoot. You
It
know,
is fun. Yeah, it
but
is fun
it
playing. Yeah,
seems when you're by yourself, I could see you, kind of frozen in the fetal position,
yeah.
not
Well,
knowing
yeah,
what to do.
you're right, and that's probably what gets a lot of guys with the master game right there. Is that moment, like you said, like the fetal position moment.
Mhm.
That's where a lot of guys say, "Forget it. I'm done with master game. I'm not going to try. This is too much. I don't want to deal with this." But I think um, where you could see if you just kind of simplify it, whereas maybe like for example, I played an entire 2006 AL replay with the
Mhm,
master game like years ago, right when it first came out, like 2007,
mhm,
and I didn't use the cutoff at all. Like I didn't really think I didn't even do any cutoffs whatsoever that entire replay. I just did if it's a double and a guy's on first, am I going to try to send him home or not? And I just that's all I did. If it's bases loaded, it was really simple. and so the cutoff doesn't come up a lot. I mean, there you can kind of control that, and a lot of times it's game situation determined where
Mhm.
because a lot of times it doesn't. And one of my videos too, it said like cut your losses. I don't know if you read that one,
Right,
saw
I
that one,
did. Mhm.
losses. Like a lot of times it doesn't. If you have a really high chance of being safe on that first guy, the guy you're trying, um, it's usually you don't even want to make the play at that
Right.
base. You know
Just
what I
let him
mean?
score.
Just let him score because if you look at the chances for that guy taking the extra base, if you think of that batter, like, oh, well, if you're going to throw home, I'm going to go run to second base. You know,
Mhm.
those runners. Um, that it's a really good chance that that guy's going to end up in second, and the guy's going to score on top of it. So you
Right.
might as well just let the guy score and keep the guy at first base. And
Yeah,
the master game does have some differentiation. You could see on the chart there, like when it's good and when it's bad to make that decision.
right. Yeah, you were talking about the 3rd row
Yeah, right.
where
That third row.
that's the trailer, the guy
Right,
trailing, right? And so if it's a
right,
low number, then, obviously there's not a good chance. If it's a high number, then you might not want to throw for the lead runner,
right. Correct. So like when you hit
especially if
like
there's a
a
really good chance he's gonna score or be safe.
yeah, exactly. Like if you like go to like if you have like 32 chance out of 36, the third row is only 2, so you add, like, their speed or whatever, so that'd be, like, way less than 50% chance that that trailing runner is gonna advance.
That's chart here.
Yeah, the base advancement chart. This is kinda what gets a lot of guys, but if you get to, like, say, if you have 33 chances out of 36, now that chance jumps up to, like, 18, and then it's, like, really high likelihood if you try to make that play at, like, home or whatever, that guy's gonna try to really have a good chance of getting the next base, so the chart kind of tells you when, like I said, that cutoff you don't do it a whole lot. It's more like just that extra base, like single. Do I want to go to third or double? Do I want to try to score in a single or like double score the guy from first? So this, I mean, we see it almost every game. Like all those games have their own little mechanic of doing
Mhm.
that. So
That was another question I had
yeah.
is d do is every situation you have to make that decision, or are there some times where it just says he goes 1 base or he goes 2 bases?
There are some, like, for example, first and second, that's a pretty popular I mean, a common occurrence. Like, if you get a play result 9, for
Mhm.
example, if you wanna show the board,
Yeah, hold on a second.
like on a first and second, um, situation, if you get a 9, which is another popular hit result, you could see, like, it says single, and it's just gonna be a bases loaded if there's no outs or 1 out.
Single to left fills the bases,
Yeah, but if there's 2 outs, that guy's always gonna score except if he's slow. So, like, you see 1 scores,
right?
so,
So that
um,
so the
and
asterisk always means 2 outs
yeah,
usually. So
exactly, 2
one runner
outs.
scores, a slow stops at 3rd, the other to 2nd. So, yeah, so sometimes it does tell you what's gonna happen, so you're not having to do that calculation every time.
Right. Yeah, like, even the one right below that, if you could see, like, on a first and second, 10
Yeah,
at the single, beats
fills
out
the
bunt or
bases.
chopper, fills the bases, so you're not calculating
Okay,
anything there. A
awesome.
lot of the triple yeah, obviously triple, but some of them are so high where, it takes a while. I mean, to kinda just like a lot of the ones, like, I mean, like Robert, for example, he's an expert inside pitch. We
Mhm,
know Robert, this famous channel.
right?
And he just makes his game sing. He really it's seamless. You see when you watch
Mhm,
his inside pitch. And it's the same with the master game. If you play it like maybe 30, 40 games of it, it's gonna start singing for you. Where the if you see like if you look at on that same result there, RG,
mhm,
that play result 11. So we looked at 9, there was no calculation, 10, no calculation. But if you look at 11, it says single to center. And see how it says like 62, 72.
right,
Like that 72 is like really, really high. Like that's a really high, chance, or they call that a hit value.
right,
Um, in the hit value, what you're going to do is you're going to factor in the arm of the outfielder, and they're usually around say 34, 35.
mhm,
and then you would add in the speed of the runner to get your chance out of 36. So when you're playing the game, if you've been playing it a while, you start knowing that if you start getting hit values up into like 60s and 70s, there's almost an automatic advance there. It's almost like you have to be a super duper like Cecil Fielder type runner to like
Right.
get thrown out there. But it's Phil Necro is another one. You get the speed rating. So that's another nice thing about the master game versus the basic game is every player is rated for like a speed rating versus like fast and slow.
Right.
You have guys like that are they're like they have a certain speed rating assigned to them, and they're armed too. So it's like a
Yeah.
lot of games, a lot of games.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I've never played the Master. When I was watching your videos,
Hmm. Yep.
you need to go.
No, my daughter came in. Um, one sec here.
Okay.
Soon, but can you keep an eye out for him and just open a door? Come to get me. Thanks. My daughter. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah. No worries. Um, So, not having played this and having played some other games, watching your
Mhm.
videos, this would seem to me like it would almost be the most detailed of any of the games that I've played, even
Mhm.
maybe more so than Inside Pitch. I mean, would you agree with that, or do you feel like it's maybe
Mm,
not that detailed?
I would say it's a definitely a stress like a step below inside pitch as far as detail.
Okay.
Um, um, I should say detail or complexity is different terminology. Like what I want to say is inside as far as I would rank it. No, it's kind of like I've played more master games, so it's really almost like a biased opinion. So, but
So when I say detail, I'm talking about like doing things like, the catcher's, arm.
mm,
They do where they can do that if they drop the ball, if
yeah,
there's a throw, the outfielder's arms. Again, there seems to be a lot more detail. Like
yeah,
the basic game is probably of all the games I've played, the less detailed. It gives you
yeah,
details, but it's not anything. It just tells you what happens.
right,
Whereas this one, even more so than Strat, it seems like that there's more Strat advanced or super advanced even, that there's just
yeah,
more detail involved. Now, whether it's complex or not, that would depend
yeah.
on, each individual user, but
Yeah, yeah. See, I think, like I personally find an inside pitch that's kind of like that base running is very hard for me to grasp when I look at that one chart.
mhm,
But I enjoy the kind of like this the flow of it, kind of like following along. But I could see someone starting out with that would be like myself. I haven't played too much of it, but I kind of enjoy it though because it's like I
mhm,
like that step by step complexity of it.
okay.
I just enjoy that, and I would put it on par with I would put it on par with like a super advanced strat.
Okay,
I would put all three of them kind of like on the same plane so far as detail. Like super advanced strat, um, the inside pitch and APBA master game. I would put them all about the same.
okay.
So, and I've
Yeah,
I played super advanced strat. I actually have a replay going of the 2004 Expos with super advanced strat using the computer game, and I roll the dice.
alright.
And it's so I'm saying that always everyone says about Straz, like, I wish I had the cards for it, but you can't buy the cards,
Mhm.
so I
Yep,
use
no,
the
I
cards on the screen as my cards.
yeah, I mean,
So,
I'm doing that one thing where I'm not using the computer, and I'm so used to the computer that it's a bit of a challenge for me to remember, "Okay, now what am I doing?" Because the computer does a lot of
yeah,
heavy lifting for you, so
yeah, yeah, so,
okay,
yeah, that's
well
good. We could probably dive I like you said, RG, the best way to learn these games is just jumping in and just having fun with it, and we could, like, talk through it, do, like, a walkthrough, like, of
yeah,
the
so, I
what's
mean, I
going
thought
on.
we'd just play some and see what happens.
Sounds awesome. Let's play
Okay.
ball.
So we got the 79 or Expos rather at
Uh-huh.
the 79 Cincinnati Reds.
Mhm,
Per your instructions, I have the books open to this page.
mhm.
You said it's best instead of starting like the beginning of the book,
Right,
have
right.
it have it there because we use this a lot, and
Yep,
it looks like this base advancement chance table you use a lot as well.
yep. Yeah, we're
And
gonna use a fielding column finder probably more. That's probably why it should be the first page is like
right.
because we're gonna use that more. You'll see.
And then you said then you could just flip up to your different, whatever you need from there. And then you
Yeah.
also suggested to have the cards in, in these because of all the ratings. Instead of trying to write all those ratings down, it's easier to have them in a format like this. So this is the Expos, and then this is the Reds.
Yep.
So um, there we go.
Yeah, and also one last thing too is on you probably want to have like that instruction book, maybe like on the first page of that rare play book
Yeah,
page.
it's there.
Oh, good. It's like a little bookmark. I mean,
Right.
of course, anyone can. You could do your own bookmarks, of course. That's just what I do. So
Yeah.
you
No,
could do
I
it pretty
mean,
much anyway.
you're the expert, so I went with what you did, and it made sense so far. So, all
Yeah,
right.
because I
Well,
mean, one of the guys say like, well, there's a lot of page flipping or a lot of this and that. So I think I got this idea off of the Delphi forums from like 15 years ago. So
okay. All right. Well, we got Warren. The lineup is what was on APBA's page. So we got Warren Cromartie is
mhm,
leading off. I got Tom Seaver pitching.
okay,
Uh, Now you do use you had mentioned they say that it's good to have a good understanding of the basic game because a lot of
right,
that carries over to the master.
that's right.
So you do use the like the Y. Seaver's a Y. You do use
Yep,
that
yep,
still.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's about 70%, 75% is almost you're gonna see is the same as a basic game.
Okay.
And we'll see that
So
during our sample here.
all right. So and then you also mentioned that it's good to get to your chart that you need. So we're in the
Yep,
bases empty chart.
yep,
All right. So, like I said, I don't know how this is going to translate to the to the screen, but we'll do our best. I put that
yeah,
over there. Okay. So this is the bases empty chart.
yeah.
I've got my things ready to go. All right. So let's roll.
All
I'll
right, so
okay if I go ahead and roll.
yeah, that'd be good. That sounds good.
Let me
So,
just
what's Seaver? I think I have the cards here too.
Seaver is a B with a Y,
Okay.
and I got
So,
Steve Rogers going for you. Is that who you want?
yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm trying to get Seaver's card out here because one of the fun things you could do with APA with the master game, and this is the same with Strat too, but you could play like the lefty righty favorites. Like you could say, all right, so Seaver's he's a righty. So I can go through my cards and I could see who all the good guys versus righties are. But that's just another plus, just like
Sure.
Strat, you can go through and see who the better against righties or lefties are.
Yeah,
So
no, that's one of the big negatives to me. Again, I've played basic quite a bit and I
mhm,
enjoy it, and it does some things that my other sims don't do, but
mhm,
there's no lefty righty split. So when I'm playing, I take that in, I play like it is, you know what I mean?
right, right,
But it really isn't, and so yeah,
correct.
that lefty righty splits are a big deal for me. So, and most of my things. So yeah, I see what you're saying. So like for example, if you were starting the spaceman, I
Yeah,
probably wouldn't have went with Geronimo, right?
right, right, exactly. And I'm looking at this one. I just went through while you mentioned Seaver was a 14
Mhm,
grade pitcher.
right?
I'm looking at see which one of my batters is gonna knock his B down to a C, and I just found one is Larry Parrish. He's and actually no, that's not correct. He's against righties there. What was I gonna say?
Let's see.
Actually, Rodney Scott. He's -4 against righties,
Right,
so he's gonna knock Seaver up to an 18 because he's adding 4 to Seaver's grade.
right.
So if you think about it like this, if I take away from the batter, I'm gonna add it to the pitcher. It's got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Now that was very well put because I mean,
yeah,
when you were doing the video at first, it was like, okay, so you're subtracting to add. I'm like, that's really
right.
confusing. But the way you
Yeah,
put it
yeah,
is look at it from the perspective, it's on the batter's card.
yeah,
So look at it from the perspective from the batter. So again, if a plus is good. So like Scott versus lefties is plus 12,
yeah.
so he murders lefties.
Right, right. He could knock like a good solid like B or C grade lefty down to a D.
Right.
And that would you'll see that. I mean, if you go right to Baseball Reference, which
Oh
I
yeah.
do a lot, you'll see it on the splits. You go to the
Mhm.
splits and
Yeah. I always
some
have baseball reference open when I'm playing any game.
and it's fun. You go right to it, you're like, hey, he was bad against lefties.
Right.
So I could tell you these batting characteristics for those who are wondering, like, well, how do they determine that? It's a proprietary formula they have. They want it's like the secret sauce, Big
Right.
Macs. But
Right.
what I've talking to some guys who are in the know with that, it's roughly equivalent to OPS.
Okay.
So, and it was roughly equivalent to OPS before OPS was a thing, which was kind of wild about it, I think.
Oh
So
yeah.
they kind of they look at the league average OPS and then they calculate out the master game characteristics from there. But it's not OPS, but it's really close. When I think of it
Okay.
like that. So
Yeah, it's kind of thing. If they told us, they'd have to kill us.
yeah, it's it's pretty close. I'm going through my I'm going through my batters to see, okay, well, who do I have better against righties like on my bench that can not many. See, if I put like Ken Maka in there, he's almost turning Seaver up to a really solid A pitcher because Ken Maka is like a -7. I'm taking 7 points off of Maka and I'm adding it to Seaver's 14.
Yeah,
So he,
looks like the as a team, um, the Expos wasn't that great against righties. Looks like they did
right.
better against lefties.
Yeah, like someone like Jim Mason. You even got like the guys with the reverse splits. Like Jim Mason's a +3 against righties. So since I'm adding 3 to righties, I'm taking away from the pitcher now. So
Yeah,
Jim Mason may talk him down to a C. So
Yeah, but he had 71 at bats in 40 games. So it looked like he did a lot of pinch hitting.
yeah, yeah. So you go through it there, and the base on this too. I think I mentioned in one of my videos. Like the base rating is like -1, -1. Don't tell me why, but it's like -1, -1 is like the standard. Like that would be like just you're almost at league average.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys like Dawson's a -1 versus righties.
Yeah.
Cromartie's a -1. Tony
Mhm.
Perez is a -1. Carter's a -1.
Mhm.
So, but
Yeah.
anyway, yeah,
It's not
but I
gonna
mean
be a big change.
that's the
Yeah.
advantages of having the splits,
Yeah.
because you can obviously, splits are a big deal in baseball, and typically you want them to be part of your replay.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
But all right,
Okay.
let's start with
That
Cromartie
sounds
here.
good.
So Seavers are 14,
Yep.
and we have our pitching change table here. So there's a different pitching change table on every chart, correct?
Right. Right.
Okay.
Another thing too, some folks get caught up. They think they maybe have to like calculate that, like, well, what is Cromartie then against Seaver? And they'll like add, okay, he's a -1, so he's going to add one to Seaver. I wouldn't even worry about that until there's a it comes up on like a base hit,
Right.
because if it's a regular, just a fly out or a ground out or something or
If
strike,
all
that
these
it
are it doesn't matter.
right. That yeah, that those splits don't matter on the regular outs. So I wouldn't even would take your time to calculate that. No, you can ahead of time for fun, if you want to look at it. So,
Now you do, when you're doing do you still do the team when you determine this, or is this where
yeah.
you do the individual player, or is it a mixture of both?
Well, there are some results that are actually gonna look at, the team, and there are some results that will look at the infield too. So, just like the basic game where they have, like, the team and infield defense,
Right?
some results we're gonna be looking at the, team and infield as well. So, you're gonna be looking at everybody individually, and there's a chance you might see the team and infield as well.
Okay, so the Reds are 40, so that's a B, right? Or 2, I mean.
Yeah, yeah, same as basic there. So, that's same as basic. It's, there'd be a fielding 2,
The Expos are
um
41, so they're
right.
1.
Uh, they that low, 31? It's 1, 2, 10,
They got 41.
41. Oh, okay, I thought you said 31. I was like,
Yeah,
the
no, the
31, that's pretty low.
Expos have 41 and the Reds had 40, so
Okay, so like they'd be a fielding 1. So they'd be a really super powerful team if you're playing like powerful defensive team if you're playing basic. But in the master game, that 41 is good, but it's not going to come up a whole lot. It's more going to be like the individual guys are going to be coming
gotcha.
up. So
Okay. So you get more of the individual and the master than you would
yeah.
in the basic. Now in the basic, it does have an option to do some of that,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, there is a basic, you can go individual, or you can it'll go to fielding 1, 2, or 3, so there's not gonna be an extra dice roll like you're gonna see in the master game,
Mhm.
but it does automatically, so if you're like a top shortstop, you're gonna be in fielding 1 every time.
Right.
So and you're gonna see that's the nice thing about the
Alright.
master game too once we
Yeah,
get to it.
that was actually one cool thing that you pointed out is that with this, even you may be a really good shortstop, but there's still a chance you're gonna make a bad play.
Right, right.
And so that's
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool feature.
Yeah, that's cool. That's almost even like strat, like when you roll that X chart,
Yeah,
they're like those good guys. They're like the one guys are gonna like make there's a lot better chance in that 20-sided die.
actually,
It's almost the same thing.
the ones never get a hit. The only
Oh,
exception the
they
only
never get a
exception
hit.
would if you're holding on the first baseman and you have a
Uh-huh.
left-handed hitter, then there's like the, pound sign, and
Uh-huh.
there's, like, the top 3 or 4, it becomes a
Uh-huh.
hit, but, yeah, if he's not helping holding anybody on,
Uh-huh.
1 is, automatic out on a 20. So, but, yeah, so that's kinda cool, I thought that was neat, but anyway, let's roll for Cromartie here.
Okay.
65. So 65 for Cromartie is a 35. So 35. Get rid of my glasses. I need bifocals bad. 35 is a ground out. Let's see, they're fielding 2, right?
Right. Now one thing right there, RG, this is one of the big shortcuts on the master game is notice on 35 that it's the same result all across the board. It's like
Okay.
five
Doesn't matter.
threes. Doesn't matter at all. With the fielding on that play. Now one thing with that 35 result, it's another plus over the basic game,
Mhm,
is you almost have like D minus pitchers. You have like the D pitchers really bad in the basic game.
mhm.
You could almost have like a D minus pitcher. Where if you look at that chart, that base is empty chart,
This one?
you yeah, if you look at like
Oh,
the
yeah.
grade
It's the
one,
35, yeah.
yeah, you could see if you can knock a pitcher down to a grade one, which is like the worst grade, that'll actually
Right.
be a hit at 35.
So
And the same with the 12.
how is 29? I mean, that's, like,
That is,
really good.
that's a good, that's almost, that's a very much debated reason. Why is that the case? It's almost like they're too good. I'm thinking there's an offset there. That's the only thing I could think. There's some kind of offset. See, like there's two sevens on a 12, and they
So it
like to
could be
have offsets.
maybe it's a pitcher who's good in every other respects, but maybe gives up more singles, that kind of thing?
Right, right. It's very rare. Like if you look at the other situations on a 35, might be 1 to 1. It's not a lot of times, but it's mostly
Yeah.
those really bad guys. Like look at like runner on third, for example, which is like the 12 and 35. Possibly could get a hit, like none of those higher grades.
It's kinda interesting how that the pitching change table changes,
Yeah,
depending on the situation.
yeah. See, like I run on first and third, like it's just 12 and 35. So you just kind of got to be wary of that 12 and 35 result because
Yeah, it's
if
gonna
you're a
be up here
really bad
sometime.
guy, yeah, a really bad pitcher can give something up there.
Okay. Well, Cromartie grounded out to third,
Mhm.
unless if it was a W, then he would have been a walk.
Yep, just like basic.
Alright, so we got, Chris Spire
Yep,
gets a 12, it's a 25. Again, we're on 2.
yep.
Out at first, 4 to 3, unless there's an X, which he is not an X, he's a Y, so he's
Mhm.
out 4 to 3.
Yep. Same
Out num
thing, right? It's all the same result all across the board.
Yeah, alright, Andre Dawson gets a 32, that's a 26, and that is a ground out to second as well.
Yep, right across the board. Yeah, simple inning there, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, how
They're
about
not
that?
always gonna be that simple, but that was almost the same as basic.
Well, this is our, with me doing an example, it probably will be this way.
Yeah. See, we need some like steroid era RG. We
Yeah,
need to get some
something
like
going on.
doubles, triples, banging them off the wall here.
No, I noticed when I was your demo game,
Yeah,
you was kinda just playing it like you were playing it, you had a
yeah,
lot of these memorized, so that would be one replay baseball is a lot like that as well.
yeah, yeah.
You get Strat, you can't do that because everybody's card's different,
Right, right,
but
right.
that would be one advantage to getting some of these games under your belt is that you were just smoking through because you already knew a lot of these. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure those 3 you knew already without me even
yeah.
looking up probably.
Right, right. Because I usually have it turned to the runner on first page as the first page because like I've known that whole A lot of like old APBA guys know that base is empty situation. Run on first, things start getting a little bit tricky sometimes. So
You basically got the first chart memorized.
yeah, and it's the same with the basic too. A lot of guys have that base is empty, but
Cool.
they have to start looking at the chart once they get the runners on base.
Well, that definitely would be an advantage for speed,
Yeah,
once you get
right.
that under your belt. All right, Dave Collins. We got Rogers is a BY. He's a 12.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
slightly worse than Seaver.
Yeah, by 2.
Yeah, I'm wondering if here's another thing, which is a herb. This is kind of like a yeah. There's like a mystique to APBA cards and their creation and everything.
Right.
Check out their ERAs too. Like look at
Yeah, Sievers
he-
is .14 worse.
yeah, but look at Seaver. He's 2 grades. He's 2 points higher in grade because Rogers is a 12 and Seaver's a 14. But Rogers is a 3 ERA and Seaver's got a 30-14 ERA. So what gives?
Probably has, I bet you it has something to do with, what's that stat called?
Whip.
Basically, whip. Yep.
Um, Strat I know is really good at whip. These cards I'm pretty sure just calculate on the ERA on that weighted average grade.
Really?
What I think is at play here is who won the West though in '79 is the question.
Right. Yeah, the
And
Reds did.
The Reds won the West, and it's historically I won't come out and say it, but you could see it almost in the ratings going back years that they give a little bit of a bump to the West because Appa's goal from like when Sites first came out with the game was always he wants to get the standings right.
Gotcha.
Like when someone replays a season, his goal is he wants to see like the best teams win that division, and he wants the standings to come out right. And it's really almost scary how accurate they get with that.
Yeah.
But I think I have a feeling I don't know for sure, but I have a feeling this was like Appa's little way of making the Reds a little bit better.
Yeah.
But let's give Seaver a couple more points, like to get
So
them
the
over the hump.
I know historically the '69 Mets have been a hard team, for people to
Right.
replicate. So did they probably had to do a lot of that with that team, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah. That's a tough team. Even that's even hard for the women in APBA, I think. And there are
Yeah.
some teams that are tough to replicate in APBA. Like when they're really like lucky teams, that's the
Yeah,
thing they struggle with.
exactly. Like the
So
Phillies last year,
right.
who was it? Somebody did a video on that.
Yeah.
Kurt Berglund did,
Yeah.
where he was talking about, trying to replicate what the Phillies did last year,
It'd be
because
very hard. Yeah.
it was a lucky year.
Oh yeah. I mean, any of those lucky teams. I'll tell you what. That '87 Twins team. I replayed
Oh
'87
yeah,
American League. That's a really lucky team. They got at the end of the year with the homers and the Homer Dome and all that.
right,
And they are terrible in APBA. Just there's teams that get hot, really hot at the end, and
right.
they're hard to replicate. So
Well, it's like if you did a replay, if you played it, if you did it like any league 100 times, there's going to be those little outliers. So when the
right,
outlier happens in real life, that's
hmm
hard to replicate.
yep,
But it's part of the fun, though.
yep,
All right, Dave Collins, 31 is an 8. Oh, now we're getting up into the good stuff.
yeah. Okay, so eight. Let's see what Collins is. What's his first thing I'm looking at on
Oh
that
yeah,
eight is I want to look at his what is he against righties because I know Steve Rogers is a
0.
righty. He's 0, so I know that eight's going to be standard. It's going to be eights with no change, and
Yeah, so
I
12, 13, it starts to change. So 12 is no change.
right, so if it's a blank on the chart, that means there's no change, so that's a single to left center. Dave
PR to right
Collins.
center. Okay,
Yeah.
that's if he's a pull to right. He's not. He's a spread
Yeah.
hitter.
Yeah, right. The pool right, you don't see a lot of those guys, and it's mostly like the Mark McGuire, like the Joey Gallo type guys where they're pulling the ball. So you don't see a whole lot of that pull left, pull right, but
Now,
they're there.
again, that was a little confusing. So when it says pull right, it's not how they hit, it's what field they hit to, correct?
Well, they have a rating, so I'm trying to find if there's any guys on the Reds who are pull righty. Yeah, like Joe Morgan. Um, So Joe Morgan's a pull righty hitter.
So that
So
means he pulls to right field, not that he's a right-handed pull hitter
right, right. He pulls to that field,
to
correct.
right field. Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Joe Morgan rolled that eight. It would have been to right center because obviously he's a lefty and he's hitting it out in that direction.
Gotcha.
And this guy's more of a straightaway hitter, Collins. So they just call it the left center.
Okay, so Collins is on with a single.
Hmm.
Now, one thing that is automated is the steal-ins allowance chart, correct?
Yeah, that this is now we're getting fun here, RG. We're getting to the fun of the steals with these. So we had one out, right? We had
No,
there's one
nobody
out.
out. Collins was
Nobody
leading up
out.
in here. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So let's go to steal allowance. So if you let Collins obviously speed demon, he's really
right,
fast, dude. So nobody out. But when he's a D, so it kind of controls your just so you don't go overboard. They want to get that stat right. Their goal is they want to get that stolen base stat right.
right.
'Cause he had 16. That's not a lot. I thought he would have had more than that. He had 16 steals and 396 at bats.
Yeah, I think he did a little later in the early '80s. '80, I think he started stealing up in the '70s, but
Yeah, so that's not a huge amount of steals, but he has a D. That's still pretty okay, but he is going to be limited here because on the D, it's only when you have one or two outs, and it has to be a close game. So it has to be either behind by one, tied, or ahead by one.
after
Um,
6th inning with any number of outs. Okay, so
right.
because there's nobody out, he can't steal.
Yeah, so he's frozen. Now I have to make a call though. So I have to say to you, if I'm playing head to head, I have to say I'm gonna hold Collins.
Okay,
So if I decide, and just like Strat, replay doesn't have the option to hold, but like Strat does, where you could say I'm
right.
gonna hold Collins at first. Just by me saying that as your opponent, that freezes Collins. So he
Yeah, you're
can't do
obviously
a straight steal.
you're doing the Astros, or the Expos, and I'm doing the
Yeah,
Reds. So,
right,
and
right,
Rogers, his MF moved to first is -0. So
right.
that's not his hold number. That comes into play on other things, correct?
That'll come into play on, like, the steal attempts, if he is able to steal, and also, like, if, Collins is trying to take an extra base.
To
If you
third
have a
on a
re
single.
Yeah, if you have a really good MF number, like 2 or 3, that'll come into
Okay.
play, but Rogers isn't gonna affect that.
Okay, so because Collins is a D,
Mhm.
and there's nobody out, he's not able to steal.
Right, and what you could do, though, if you wanted to right now, is you could call hit and run. So
Okay,
you could still, call a hit and run, and he could take off there, and he could possibly have a steal attempt if you roll, like, a 13 if you read a walk or a strikeout result.
okay.
Then you're gonna have a steal, you have a steal attempt there by Collins. So he could go, but you have to call hit and run for him to
Now
go.
is there a hit and run chart?
It's baked into the board, so you just go right to the
Oh,
runner on
awesome,
first.
cool.
Yeah, it's actually,
It's basic. There's actually a chart for it, right?
yeah, yeah, the master game, it's all into one board. It's all
Awesome.
on the chart. So if you look at, say, any of the results, you'll see, like, it'll say hit and run and sacrifice and all the results.
Oh, okay. Yeah, here. This is what you're talking about. Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, that's
and
great.
or even down in the outs too, like, go down on the outs. Like, CLO hit and run, sacrifice, so it's already in the
Oh,
boards there.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's all in
that's
every
really cool.
result.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually a little bit less chart flipping.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Yeah.
I got Ken Griffey Senior coming up, so I will hit and run and see what happens.
Oh, hey, there you go, fun. We'll have some
Yep.
fun here.
All right, 43. That's a 29, and Expos are a 1.
Yep.
So
Now
29, 1.
now if you look at the 29 result, now remember we're not really care about the team because 'cause we're looking at there's a fielding position right after that 29 on the chart, it says P. So if you look at the 29,
Oh,
it says
yeah.
P. So right there, we're not looking at the team for this result. We're looking at the pitcher's defense.
Okay,
Um,
so every time you see that, you do that?
yeah. Now, only if there are different results. Now, what I'm doing, if I'm like a veteran master game player, I'm looking at the fielding one, two, three. If there's any difference between those, which I could see, like fielding three is different than fielding two result.
Right?
That's telling me I got to roll now on that pitcher's defense to see what kind of play he makes. If he makes a fielding one play, fielding two play, or fielding three play.
Okay.
So then we're going to look at, so if we see that 29, we have to go, okay, so who's the pitcher here? It's
So
Steve
that's
Rogers.
Rogers, and he's a 2.
Yep. So now we're going to go to that fielding column, find your chart on the front.
Do we have in the front?
Yeah, and
And
we're gonna
then
roll 2 dice to see where he falls in. We look under the 2 column, and you can see, there's a really good chance he's gonna make a fielding 1 play, 'cause
so
the 2 is as good as you can get for a pitcher.
right. So 24. Yep. So he's a one.
Yep,
So we
let
go
this
back
roll.
go back to the one, right?
Yeah, so you rolled a 24, so he is a 1, so we go to the, fielding 1 and see what that 29, what the hit and run came out.
Out at first, runner to second, 1-3.
Yep. So you could see Collins got the lead, and they're like, "Collins is going," and,
Yeah,
uh, and and Griffey's
that
swinging.
that could have been a double play,
Yeah,
possibly.
yeah, yeah, it could have, well, yeah, it's for that 29 result, like, if you were to roll something like a 25, for example, which is like a grounder to second, that would have been may have been a double play, but
Okay.
it really, depends on the situation.
All right. So Griffey's out 1-3. Collins
Yep,
makes it to second.
yep.
So now we got a runner on second and go to that chart.
So now there's 1 out, so you wanna think, "Okay, what are chances Collins could steal 3rd now?" If you wanna say
Okay.
that. So,
Now, stealing third, you have to subtract. Well, how much is it? 5?
well, first thing we have to do is look at the chart to see if he's even allowed to steal in this situation. So you go
Okay.
to the D on that stealing chart.
Runner may steal third only with one out and behind by 1 run, tied ahead by 1 run. So we're good, right?
Yeah, so where it's tied and it's 1 out, so it's optional. You could send Collins if you want. 25 isn't too bad of a success number because it goes up to 36.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
25 on his rating.
yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and try it because, like I
Okay.
said, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't do that, but I'm trying
Yeah.
to learn the game. So,
Yeah, so what we gotta do is, first thing we gotta see is we know Collins is a 25. We gotta see what the batter is, who's up, if he's lefty or righty.
Joe Morgan is a lefty.
Okay, so it's gonna be harder to steal with Morgan,
Oh, yeah,
at
that's
that.
right.
Yeah, because he's lefty and the catcher has a good view of the guy running.
See, that's what I
Uh,
meant by detail.
yeah.
I can't think of another game that I've played that takes that into account,
Oh, yeah, it's pretty
whether it's a
wild.
lefty or righty, and so, again, I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
and
yes.
it's fun. It's, you're thinking,
So is it
"Okay, well, he's
like,
a lefty."
7 versus lefty and 5 versus righty? Is that what it was?
Yeah. You know what I've even done though, RGs? In some replay games, I'll even like pinch hit for this is really talk about APBA ball or like game in the
Yeah,
system.
yeah,
When you're playing like 1,000 games in a replay, you got to do something for fun and, and to mess around a little bit.
right.
I've actually even like pinch hit like a lefty or like a righty just to like stop like lower that guy's chances of stealing.
Yeah,
Which
third.
it's totally gaming the system, but it's fun.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, there's a little bit of that would apply to real life,
yeah, yeah, I guess.
where,
So, okay, so
yeah,
Morgan's up. He's a lefty. So what we have to do is, since he's a lefty, we have to knock right away. You're knocking 7 points off of Collins's 25.
so he's on to 18.
18. Now, just for example, if he was a righty, we would only have to knock 5 points off.
Right.
So you could see that difference. So now Collins is an 18, and remember these are out of 36. So 18 out of 36 is 50-50. So
Okay,
um,
so that's this thing here.
yeah. Now we do have a Hall of Fame catcher. He's my favorite player of all time behind the plate. We have to
Mary
watch out
Carter.
for.
Okay.
Yeah, so Collins is getting really gutsy here, RG.
Now how do
He's
you so does Carter's arm play into this at all?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
So
so
you're
how does that
thinking.
work?
So you look at Carter's throw rating. So you look at his. It says TH plus 5.
Right?
So remember, plus is good for that player.
So that takes 5 more off of Collins.
Yeah, so that's going to knock 5 more off of that 18. So that brings him down to
13.
13. So now we look at the steal success
So
table.
it's 31.
You look at that's the other one to the right there.
Oh,
See, it says stealing chance table. It comes out to the same thing actually,
okay.
but
So it's
that's a stealing chance
so on the 2 die, you have to do a 31 or
or
better.
less or less to be safe. So 31 or less, he's safe.
So 13 out of 36. That's what, about a
Right,
third?
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So basically, you're going to
he
roll dice and try to get 31 or less to be safe.
Now, are you able to do the calculation and to decide you don't want to steal?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you don't have to steal. You can calculate ahead of time, which a lot of, like, leagues do. They'll say, "Oh, okay, well, 13 chances, I'm not gonna go." But
Okay. So
if you wanna
basically,
surprise Carter,
at this point, we would roll the dice to try to steal.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
you're
So
gonna
we
roll the dice.
all right, we figured it out.
Mhm.
I'm gonna hold him at second.
After you saw Gary Carter was behind the plate.
Yep, Gary Carter made a bit of a difference, and Morgan being a lefty. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and plus
if that's
and
okay to
plus
play that
yeah.
way,
Yeah, like, for example, you could get some really bad throwing catchers in there, like, who would be, like, the Reds' backup that year? Like, Vic Correll, for example. Vic Correll, he's a TH -4,
yuck.
which is like a 9-point difference from Carter, if you think.
Yeah,
So TH -4. So if Correll was, say, if you're playing a fantasy league and he was your catcher, you'd be adding 4 to that 18 of Collins. So Collins would now be up to a 22. So it would be almost like the same as him trying to steal second, stealing third. So you could see Correll would Collins would have a lot easier time of stealing against Vic Correll than Gary
yeah,
Carter.
no, it would have made a big difference. But
Yeah, yeah.
okay, so
Okay.
we'll hold Collins on it at second, and that
Mhm.
brings up Joe Morgan. With so we got our runner on second chart.
Yep.
Morgan swings away. 54 is a 32. 32. So that's the right fielder,
Yeah. Now we're gonna have some more fun with this one, RG. So when you say see that fielding, now when you see remember you say you look see the fielder there,
right? Right
and you
fielder.
and you look at the results, and if you see there's any difference between first, second, or third, that means you have to roll to see if that right fielder made a 1, 2, or 3 play on it. Remember
Okay.
1 being the best. So
Yeah,
who's
so
the
the
right fielder?
differences are what's that? What's the term?
Hit value.
Hit value. Yeah, there are
Yeah. So
differences in the hit values.
yeah, so, like, if he makes a bad play on that ball, he's gonna be a fielding 3, but if he makes a really good play on that ball, he's a fielding 1.
Okay, so your right fielder is who? Is that
We said, Valentine. We know he has a good arm, so
okay?
we'll see how it
So
plays out.
Valentine. All right, so let's see. Let me keep my place here.
So he's a 3 outfielder, which is the best, so we're gonna roll on that
Okay.
fielding column finder chart under, 3.
45 outfielder 3. Yep, so he's a 1.
Yep, so he makes a fielding 1 play, so if he's thinking basic game too, he'd be fielding 1.
Okay.
All the time. Whereas that roll, like we were talking about earlier, so like if you rolled a really high number, there's a chance, even though Valentine's like the best rated outfielder, he could have made like a fielding 3 play like the worst rated outfielder. So there's a chance even like the best guys can make bad plays. So which happens.
So where's with the third base in parentheses, that's
Uh,
saying if he wants to go to third, right?
you mean when we're looking at the results, so we're looking at fielding 1, it says fly
Oh,
out.
1, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was on 3.
yeah. So we go to 1. It says
Okay.
fly out right field, and you see the hit values there, and it says third base.
So that's if you're trying to go to third, right?
Yeah, that's where the play is gonna be if we, decide to send Collins to third on, like, a tag up. So,
Okay.
we
Now,
can
when there's
try
3 numbers, you roll a 1 die to 1 and 2 is the first one, 3 and
yeah.
4 is the middle one.
Yeah, now right away, I could say this is something, might stump some beginning app they might, like, say, "This is too much calculations."
Mhm.
If I'm looking at, these results, 28, 31, 40. Remember the first thing I'm gonna do is subtract the arm of the outfielder from
Right?
this, and Ellis Valentine, if you look at his arm, is a 39.
Okay.
So you look at like if you roll like just a 28, take off 39, you're already at -11,
Right.
and
So,
then
but
we're
if
gonna
you got
add
it yeah, so what I
it's
was thinking is if you had the 28, there's no way. I'm
yeah,
wondering
right.
if you got the 40, what it would look like. That's what I was thinking.
Okay, well if you get the 40, so let's take off. Let's see if we roll. Oh, you could. What does it say? You rolled a 40 just to
Yeah, I just rolled
for
a 5.
illustrations. Okay, 5. So let's take 39 off of 40. So that's Valentine's arm minus the hit value, or the hit value minus Valentine's arm,
This is 1.
1. And what we do then is we just simply add Collins' speed.
which is
So
19.
so it'd be a 20. So
Okay.
remember, everything's in like out of 36 chances. So
Right.
you're thinking 20 out of 36. He's like a little bit over 50-50 in taking third base on a tag up. So
So, what did we say it was?
it was 20. So we look at the base advancement, the second line.
That's 42.
Yeah, so you're thinking Collins, I'd have to roll 42 or less to get him to tag up safely.
And you
So
never make the third out at third, so
yeah, and then exactly, and you don't want to. That's exactly right. You want to look at the situation. Like when you're playing like quickly, you're like, I'm not Collins ain't gonna make the third, but out of third base. So just keep going. So,
yeah, and again, under normal circumstances, I would have done that, but again, I'm trying to
yeah,
figure out, okay, how does these things work? And so that gave me
right,
an opportunity to see, how does this arm play into it? But anyway, so he
right.
flies out to right for the second out, and so I do see right now that I have to do this with red, white, and blue racing.
Yeah,
Is that I have a pad next to me so I can write when I write down a number. So when I
right,
go chasing somewhere else, I don't forget what that because I'm really bad. If it's more
right.
than 2 steps, I lose the trail.
Yeah, yeah. That's
All right. So we got Eddie. We got Dave Collins on.
second.
I've been playing 1920 White Sox. I got Eddie Collins on the mind. Dave Collins, and so that brings up George Foster. Runner on second. We're on that
hmm
chart, so we're good.
Right.
21. That's 13. Now, that's always a
Yeah.
strikeout, right?
We know it's a strikeout, so there's no looking up fielding columns and anything. We get to straight. It just now we're back to like basic, that
Right.
role. So.
All right. So he strikes out for out number 3.
hmm
All right. Top of the second. So go back to our bases empty chart.
hmm
And you've got Tony Perez coming up.
Yeah,
Former,
hey,
former
former
Red.
Red. Yeah, is
Mhm.
this right? Is this his first year with the Expos? I forget.
I don't remember. He
So,
went to
I
the Red
forget.
Sox originally, right?
Yeah, I
Or
thought he
did
went
he
to
go to
Red
the Red
Sox
Sox
after.
later?
Yeah,
He may have. I think you're right.
yeah.
Actually, 77 was the year because he was the first one of the big red machine to leave, and so it
Oh,
would have
okay,
been
okay.
70s. Matter of fact, I heard Pete Rose once say that he was the reason, they stopped winning because he was such an integral part of that machine.
Oh, yeah, and then he was, when he went to New York, they, like, despised him there because he wouldn't partake in that fight or something. I don't know if you heard that story, like, there was an
Yeah, I haven't
on-field
heard that.
brawl.
He
Yeah,
figured he
there was
wanted.
a
He
big
figured he.
on-field brawl, and he wouldn't he's like, I'm a Christian." Yeah, he was
Oh,
saying
okay.
his religion, and he's
Yeah.
like, "I'm not gonna, like, take part in this stuff." So he sat in the dugout, and the Mets, like, they couldn't stand him after that. "Yo, you didn't join in the fight." He's like, "Hey, my religion comes first." So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Tony Perez. He rolls a 42, which is a 13, which is a strikeout.
Yeah,
So 13 is always a strikeout.
yeah.
Okay, unless you have an R, which I've never seen an R.
Yeah, you know what? I was gonna start Bill Lee. I was just showing you Bill Lee, and he has an R, so but
Oh, really?
that would come up on 2 outs on the R for the
The R
bases
is only
empty.
2 outs. Okay,
Yeah. No, that's not that's just on bases empty. Just the no other results that'll take it away. It'll change it to like a ground out or pop out or something.
okay. All right. So Perez whiffs.
Mhm.
Seaver gets him with the high heat. All right.
Yep.
Your favorite player,
There you go.
Gary Carter,
Come on, RG.
15, 8. All right, here we
8.
go. Here's some fun stuff. So we got
Yeah.
14. Carter is a -1, so that would make him +1. So
Yep.
that would make him a 15.
Yep.
Okay, an 8 on a 15 goes to a 32.
Yep.
32 is right field. So it looks like it's the difference between a fly out or a line drive out. So that doesn't really
Yeah.
help much, does it?
Yeah, correct. They just have a little variance there. And that's pretty much like the basic boards right there, that result, because that's the 8 on at bases empty is like a fly to center on the
Mhm.
basic. And if you look at the 8 against the B, you could see almost all the way across up until you get to like the 25. It's like they're like fly to left, fly to center, everything. It's like fly out to the outfield. So
Okay. All right, so he flies to right field for out
Mhm.
number 2,
Mhm.
Ellis Valentine.
There you go.
53. I'm not rolling good
Ooh,
numbers, am I?
we're getting some error. We might have an error check here. This will
Oh,
be
okay,
good.
17. Cool.
All right, so 17. So I know. Well, you could look at the board. You'll see.
Yeah, there's big differences there.
Yeah. Yeah, so you see, remember I said if there's differences there, you have to now roll. You have to check that outfielder's defense. You have to roll on his defense, see if he makes a 1, 2, or 3 play.
And we decided that your right fielder, Valentine, was a 3, right?
Yeah, but this is your right fielder.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Hello. My right fielder is Griffey, and Griffey is a 2.
Okay. So you're trying to hopefully get now. If you look at the chart, if you want to see it,
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
just for fun, you could see you're really trying to get Griffey a fielding 1 result here because he'll catch that ball. I think I'm pretty sure.
It looks like you have to do 26 or better.
Yeah, there's nobody on base, right, RG?
No, yeah, 2 outs, nobody on.
Okay. Yeah, so you're really trying to you're hoping Griffey makes a good roll here to get that fielding 1 play.
Yeah, I know 3, but 3 looked horrible.
Yeah, 3 will be a single in there. If he gets a
Right.
fielding 2, it'll be just a single, but
Yeah.
he's really trying to make that play right now.
So we got a 41, so it looks like that's going to be a 2, so that's going to be a single, right?
Yeah, it's a single, so straight up.
So that's a single to right.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting how that, you kinda got a variable. It's a little bit like, I don't remember which game it was, but, like, when you start the game, you see what kind of stuff your pitcher has. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
remember which
yeah.
game that
Fall
is.
Classic, I think that is,
Is it
yeah.
Fall Classic? Yeah,
Yeah.
so I always thought that was kind of a cool thing, so it's a little bit like that, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, has he got his A game this play or not?
Yeah. Right. Right.
Alright, so you got Valentine.
He's on
He is
first
a
now.
C22, his
Yeah,
steal
so
rating.
Yeah, so the Cs they can go even more often than the Ds. Because remember in the D we had to have 1 or 2 outs. The C is just based on the score. If it's a close game, they can go.
Yeah,
And yeah,
only when behind by 1 run tied or 2 runs after the 6th. Yeah, so he can go whenever he wants.
yeah. So right now, so he's a C22, and I'm guessing you have a bench there.
I do.
A bench. So he's probably as
Actually,
good as Carter. I'm thinking on his throw
yeah,
rating. What's his?
oddly enough, not. He's a +3.
Oh, he's getting yeah. He's his kind of later years. They're
Yeah,
almost putting him in third base right now.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
he even has a first base rating.
he's
So.
rated at first, yeah.
But that +3 is pretty good, so if I wanted to send Valentine, it would be like, 22 minus 3, so it'd be 19. I'm like
We're
50-50.
we're holding him, of course.
Yeah, but then also, just like in baseball, who's the batter? Like, do I wanna, like, take a chance when there's a good batter? And, Parrish is a really good,
Yeah,
79 card, so
I'm surprised they had him batting 7th.
yeah, so I'm not thinking about going now, I'm really thinking about Parrish driving in a run here, so.
Okay, so you're gonna hold him up?
Yeah, just hold them up. And now you'd also say like I'm gonna hold Valentine. You have to
I am.
call it. Yeah. So if you don't call it, he's automatically held. I think I covered this in one of my videos about the steals too. So like if you say I'm gonna play off the bag, like if it's late in the game and you just want to get the game over with, get some
Mhm,
outs.
right,
Some of those guys that don't steal at all, or like they can always go take the extra bit or try to steal, which is nice because they're not limited by that A, B, C, D, E, F, G, where like it's a situation or how many outs there are. If he's not getting held at the base, he can go.
so
Um,
what you're saying is this the letter grade only applies if you're being held?
right, right,
Okay,
correct. If you're not being held, they can go. So right now, I could now standard. I could send Valentine if I wanted to against bench, but I don't want to because Parrish is card here.
okay,
So, but that could come up late in the game, and that's how like those really low 1, 2 stolen base a year guys. Look at a guy like Tony Perez; he's like a G26.
right.
If you look at a situation, the only time Perez could even attempt to steal would be it says with 2 outs and behind by 1 in eighth inning or later. So, or tied. So you could think almost up to the first 8 innings of the game, he's not going to be able to even attempt to steal.
But
But
you
if
did
I,
say
yeah,
26 is a good number, so you
yeah.
could hit and run with him though, right?
No, that's actually in the hit and run rules. The GRN guys, the G's have to have a certain steal success letter amount. So they are limited. So like Perez
Okay,
can't even go on a hit and run.
gotcha.
Um, let's see what it's. I think it was max of 18 on that. Let me just look real quick here. That's a good comment. It's less than 28. So actually, so if his steal allowance letter is G, his steal success must be less than 28. So Perez could go on a hit and run since
Okay,
he's less than 28, but we're not going to do that.
okay. All right. So you got two out,
Yeah,
Valentine on first, and Parrish up.
right. He's going to straight away hit here.
You got runner on first, and again, I am holding him because you said there are some results on 12 where holding the runner can affect
Ooh,
the outcome.
yeah, good call there too. Yeah, so that's why now holding him, obviously he's it's almost like the strat where you get the minus one plus one
Right.
if they're holding them.
Right.
Same thing with this. If he's holding Valentine, it's going to be a little bit harder for Valentine to score like a double. But
Okay.
also it's also going to give him more hits on that play result 12. So you'll see if you roll a 12 or get a
Okay.
12 result.
Yeah. Well, I'm holding him. So
Okay.
all right. 56.
Oh, anticlimactic strikeout.
13 strikeout. Yep.
Yeah.
So Seaver mows him down.
Yeah, and that was an R too, if you notice. That was a straight up R pop out. So like if that was like one of those R pitchers who don't strike out a lot of guys,
Hmm.
that would have been a pop out.
Okay.
So
So let me see. 13. Yep. Now that one. So in this situation, if you had an R, it would have been a pop out no matter what, right? How many
yeah,
outs?
right, right,
If there's an asterisk there, then that's when it's just two outs.
right.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I would say I would definitely recommend having a good grasp of the basic because
Yeah.
you're going to struggle with this a lot if you don't. Because like you said, 70% of it is still basic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Some of the old advertising, it's always almost comical that old 60s, 70s advertising that Dick Sites would do. They would have big bold letters like, "We strongly advise you not to try the master game without being fully comfortable with the basic game." It was just kind of funny advertising at the time, but it's true. So
You good for a little bit more?
I help. Actually, wife's away, cats will play here. RG.
All right, all right. We got Johnny Bench due up. Yeah, this isn't too bad. Oddly enough, I've watched your videos, but I actually haven't tried to play it by myself.
Oh, okay. I
So this
remember
is
you unboxed this I remember when you had that
yeah,
unboxing video you had where you got this.
yeah. So I've played quite a bit of the basic, but again, I haven't. I watched your videos, but haven't even tried. Um, to be honest, when I watched your videos, it's like, wow, that seemed like a lot. But
Yeah,
again, it's
yeah,
one thing I've always wanted to do. And so I
yeah.
watched the videos again, and then reached out to you, and it's like, hey, can we kind of do a little bit of this online? So I really appreciate you doing it because
Oh, you're
this
welcome.
is this is actually I could see myself enjoying this once I
Certainly.
get the flow.
Yeah,
Because again, baseball is my game. So
yeah,
like a hockey game. I'm not much of a hockey guy. This
right.
much detail would just it wouldn't interest me.
Yep,
But with
right,
if it's your game, you
right.
know this kind of stuff is fun because you this is why you love your game.
Yep, you're
And
right.
so yeah.
You're
All
right.
right,
I'm in the same boat you're in. We come from the same mold here, RG. So,
all right, Johnny Bench, 35. He gets a 14. That's almost always a walk,
yep,
right?
that's a walk. Maybe why it wouldn't. And this is the same in the
Easy.
basic. That ZZ, yeah, the D
Yeah.
double Z would stop that. But so
So
we have
bench.
bench on first. I'm looking at his rating now. He's an F26 steel. Now these F guys, they're good to hit and run with. Like if you're just set put in motion, because usually when you have an F, it's usually like a higher success number.
Hmm.
And these are on the more modern formula cars because this 79 was just redone like a couple years ago. This is like a newer 79
Yeah,
calculation.
come with every single player too, which was a
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah, plus so bench, if I'm playing by myself right now, like I'm thinking right now bench this is like a good hit and run. I'll usually you want to get like one out for a hit and run before you start taking chances, but like I'm looking at bench as F26. I'm like, yeah, that's a good. there's a good chance bench could probably steal or something on a
Yeah,
hit and
26,
run there.
that's a high. I know, like, for example, Foster's an E9, so that's, like, really
Y-
bad, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, 9 is really low, correct?
Yeah, on the steal success, of course. Yeah, you're almost automatically gonna get out there, but bench
Okay.
is pretty high there. So who was on deck? Who was up next for you? I didn't.
Dan Dreesen.
Oh, okay. Well, I think he's a good hitter. So
Yeah, he didn't have that great of a year.
yeah,
Alright, let's go to the runner on first, so I'm gonna go ahead and try the hit and run again.
good call. Yeah,
Just like I said, we'll see what happens. Again,
yeah.
this
It's
is
70s.
more playing.
Yeah.
Alright, 41. That's a 28. 28 is to the shortstop.
Okay. Now
Uh,
right here, I'm looking at the hit and run result, and you could see the hit and run results are the same across the board.
same
So I'm
as
not calculating
52.
it. See how it's like out of first, runner to second.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah, so, like, right there, like, I don't have to make any roll on that shortstop's defense because it's the same across the board.
Yep. So out at first, runner to second. So
Yeah.
so
That was the
he's
thing, that's what, folks like, "Oh, you gotta roll for that defense every time," but you don't. It's just on certain plays it has to come up.
that's interesting that it tells you on fielding 2, it's the same as 3.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm much wondering why it wouldn't on 1 or why it wouldn't say 1 the same as 2 and 3. It's just the way my mind thinks.
Yeah, so, like and hit same with fielding 3, so, like, if you're looking, this was kind of fun part of it. If you're a real baseball guy like me and you are, RG,
Mhm,
look at the fielding 2, so it sees if you're not holding him. So obviously, if bench wasn't getting held,
mhm.
he's gonna have a much better jump on that pitch. If that
Okay,
ball gets hit. So he would have a fielding 3 play, which this is just look at the regular result, just the regular, not the hit and run result. It would have been there'd be no play at second on bench because he would already got a good jump, so it would have been just a 6-3 ground out runner to second.
gotcha.
But, like, if he was being held, you're keeping bench close to the bag. So it's saying, "Oh, okay, so if you get a fielding 2 player just a normal, it's gonna be a fielding 1." So, like, it's a 6-4, so he's gonna get the 4 shot, because bench couldn't get a good lead because he was being held.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's one thing about that, but the basic game especially is that there's quite a bit of narrative built into it.
Yeah, right.
That strat is just numbers.
Yeah, yeah,
Whereas APBA does give you some narrative, which
yeah.
I always enjoyed.
Okay, so we hit hit and runs. It was a sick grounder to Chris Spire, throws it to Perez, and bench takes second.
Correct.
Hey,
With
good
one out.
call though. At least bench is at second now, yeah.
He didn't hit a double play.
Yeah, stay on a double play too.
All right, so we got to go to our runner on second chart.
Mhm.
So Ray Knight's up. Uh-oh.
Oh boy, we got a
So
nice card there.
he's a 0. So we will re-roll on the second column.
Now, real quick, one thing to look at too, whenever you get that 0 in a master game, this is what you don't have in the basic game. If you look at
Okay.
that runner in second,
Yeah.
look at those really high pitchers, like the 22, 28 guys.
Oh, yeah.
It'll automatically, typically that double column is gonna be like an extra base hit or home run or something.
Right.
That 0, it's gonna the high grade pitchers are gonna take away extra base hits too, which you
Yes.
don't get that in the basic game.
Yeah, no, I did. You're right. So a 17 pitcher or a 22 through 28, it moves to a 7 automatically on a 0.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm glad you
right.
pointed that out. I
It'll
just
even take away a
automatically
home
went,
run. Yeah.
yeah, automatically went. So he's a 12. Who's up? Knight.
It was
He's
night,
a
yeah.
-4 versus righty. So that moves him up to a 16.
Oh, yeah, he's just short of it. He was just
Yep.
short.
Yep. 17 would have been a single. So
Yeah,
at 16, it stays the same. So we
yeah.
roll on the second column then, right?
Now Mike gets the second column roll, yeah.
Right. 53 is a 1.
It's out of here. Wait, now we gotta check, now
17
1 was it a
six
1 on nights?
yeah, 53 on the second column is a 1.
Okay. Alright, so now if you look at the 1 on the chart, you can see we do have some home run, allowance letters there.
Yeah, so
But
that's the
16 doesn't
GH.
have it. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, 16 doesn't. So what does the
right.
GH mean?
So the G is that's gonna the G and H pitchers are gonna take away home runs. They'll turn them into doubles.
Doubles.
And
Okay.
actually, Rogers does have a G. So with H is probably the most powerful one. Like H is the one that'll take away the most home runs.
Oh,
G
so
would
that's a rating.
yeah, it's like a rating which is on Rogers' card at the top of his card.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
See, it says move to first 0, then G.
Okay.
So he had a pretty good year. I mean, he only gave up 14 home runs in 248 at bats or in 248 innings. That's a lot. That's a really good ratio, I think, for a pitcher. He
So
only
if
gave up
he
14.
let's say he was a 17, let's say Knight
Mhm.
was a -5,
Mhm.
um, he would need to have a GH in order
Yeah,
for that to happen?
yeah, a G or an H. Yeah, a
G
G
or an
or an
H.
H. Yeah, so
Okay.
a G or H. So he would have
Made it a
taken away
double.
that, or yeah, he would it would have been off the wall, or it would just turn that home run into double. He would have taken away that night home run. But
Okay.
since it was blank and there was no G or H on that square, that
Yeah.
was a home run Ray Knight.
And the crowd goes wild.
Blows a kiss to Nancy Lopez in the stands as he rounds third. Right.
This was is this pre-Lopez?
I'm pretty. I don't know. Maybe they were dating or something. That's probably
Alright.
her heyday too. I'm thinking 79.
Yeah. Alright, so Knight goes deep. Yeah, so that that again, that's one of the when I was playing the basic game, that's one of the things is like, there's just not a lot of that. Okay, it's very vanilla, and again, and it's fun for what it does.
Mhm.
But this gives it gives you a lot more. Even though, like you said, that the 1 through 30 equates kind of to the A, B, and C, it's a lot
Right.
more nuanced.
Yeah.
And things
Yeah.
like that. Where it changes a home run to a double, or like
Yeah.
and there's also where you change the double to a home run.
Right.
And so it's based on their ratings. It's just not a generic, so
Yeah.
again, being a baseball nut,
Yep.
that's kind of stuff I like. So
Yep. Me too.
all right, well, Concepcion is up. Base is empty. Oh, I know, did it
Ooh,
again.
another one. So
Another
0.
0. So now
So
this
first thing I'm
one's
looking at is that Concepcion's rating against righties. I'm gonna see if he can get them.
-3,
All right. So
15 for Rogers.
yeah, so he's a 12 up to a 15. Yeah, so I'm looking at that 0. Oh, okay, I need to get to a 24, so I didn't stop it. So
Yep. So we roll on the second one.
yeah,
I'm getting some APBA rolls.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh, look at that.
66.
What did he? How many home runs did he have, Concepcion?
16.
Oh, he had a good year
Yeah,
for
Concepcion,
Concepcion.
he had some power a few years. So back-to-back bombs.
Oh man, they're putting the tail end of the big red machine here.
Yeah. All right. That brings up Seaver.
So was it 3-0?
3-0. Yep.
Wow.
Two-run
Okay.
homer by Knight and a solo shot by Concepcion.
Steve Rogers like pouting, doing like those faces he would make and all, like shrugging his
Concepcion was
shoulders.
Concepcion was my favorite player growing up.
Was he really? Yeah,
Yeah, I remember watching him in an All-Star game in the '80s, and he had a home run, and
oh yeah.
I was jumping up and down.
Oh yeah. This is awesome. This is right in my wheelhouse too, RG.
All right, Seaver, he gets a 15. Wow, that's a 9.
Okay, so
So,
receivers.
Seaver is +1 on righties, so that would knock him down to an 11.
Yeah, and that's actually good on 9 results if you remember. So that's like a 9 on 11.
Yep, that moves it to 28.
Yeah. So
That's
that was a
one.
situation where like it knocked Rogers down to like a C, and that's kind of what we want there. So he's a 28. So you can
And
just see what that is.
that's rounded to short across the board,
Yep.
so we don't have to check the value,
Yes, and look at the card too. One of the nice things you can see Rogers is like a B on his card if you're playing basic.
right?
It's almost like you could have like B minuses. So like that 11, so that 12 is almost like a B minus.
Mhm.
Even though because he's just on the cusp of being like a C.
Yeah, well, Seaver's a B, and he's got a 14, so he's more like a
Yeah.
is that a B plus or just a
He
BB?
he would be almost more like a solid B. Like I would say like
Okay.
a 13, 12, or like the B minuses. And this is just like my
Sure.
because when you're close to that demarcation line, you're almost like, oh, he's always really at risk of like dropping down there. So
Mhm.
so Rogers, I would almost look at him as almost like a B minus
Gotcha.
with that one. So
All right, that's 2 out, and that brings up Collins again. 64 and 13 is a whiff.
yeah.
So that'll do it for the Reds in the second. All right, you got 8, 9, and 1 due up.
All right.
Base is empty. See if I can do some APBA rolls for you.
There you go.
So we got Scott up. 24 is a 29. That's pitcher, and that's bounce out the pitcher across the board, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking when I see a 29 just in base. I'm looking at that picture to see if he has like an X. Seaver. Yeah, he's a Y, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's the X and the modifier, but yeah, he's just a Y. Actually, him and Rogers both are just Ys.
Yeah, like basic, standard basic is like there's 25, 27, 29, like those odd 20 numbers. You're thinking, okay, the X guy's going to get them, strike
Yeah,
them out.
I've played some basic, but not enough to have memorized that part either. So
Yeah, he's kind of the veteran APBA guys had that. They're thinking that
yeah,
in their head, whereas like just like the strat guys are thinking of the chances, of each
yeah,
columns. The Y guys are thinking, okay, 33, 34s are going to get the Y guys. So.
yeah. I imagine watching an APBA tournament would be a lot of fun. It'd be like listening to somebody speak Chinese if you don't know Chinese.
Yeah,
Guess you
yeah,
guys would be like, have all this memorized.
yeah. For the most part, yeah, yeah. You do get some newcomers there.
All right, Rogers is a 45, 14. That's going to
Ah,
be a walk,
yeah,
right?
just what Seaver did not want to do,
Yeah. Yep.
walk the
The
pitcher there.
pitcher,
So now Rogers, here's another strategy when you play the master game. If you look at Rogers' steal, you could see he's an N,
right?
so he can never steal. So because he can never steal, usually you play off the bag, and that makes sense. You think about it. Like if you have like a really slow, if you're Tony Perez, and or not Tony, who's your first Dreesen? He's thinking Rogers isn't going to be trying to steal here. He's going to try to get better range off of that. He's going to play off the bag. Why would you do that? Because of that play result 12. Because
Right.
you want to
Now,
try to make that an out. You don't want that play result 12 being a possible hit.
now if he's an in and I play behind him
Hmm.
and there's a single to right, would the fact that I played behind him affect his ability to go to third?
Yeah, it will, slightly though, and only if he's like not a slow runner. So it would help Rogers a little bit, but the the probability is more that you're going to get the 12 result
Gotcha.
than that situation. So you
Okay.
kind of really would rather have the out than that worry, Rogers getting a third.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's what I mean. If I'm playing by myself in that situation, I'm like, oh, okay, they're not holding Rogers. He's an N, and I want to get that 12. I want to get that out on that 12. I don't want that 12 being a hit.
You convinced me. I'll play
Yeah,
behind you.
yeah. It's like baseball. You think about it. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
back in the good old days when pitchers hit,
yeah,
they, most quite often. I mean, not always. There was some, and I'm assuming like a strat, they'll have if you're a pitcher, your speed's 10, but they do
yeah,
have like special where guys who are quicker than that, where you could get a 12 or 13 or whatever.
yeah.
I'm assuming they do the same here, right? Where some pitchers
Yeah,
are going to actually have better running ability.
yeah. Let's look at it. So Rogers, he's actually pretty good. He's a 13 speed, so he's
Hmm.
actually not that slow. So there's a good chance. I mean, if you look at some of the other pitchers, like 9, look at sometimes you get some really bad slow pitchers, but they're kind of a younger staff. Like, for example, Bob James on the Expos, he's pitcher, he's a speed 5.
Okay,
So, and he has an N, so you can tell
he
he's not
doesn't
really that
steal and
fast.
he
Yeah,
doesn't run fast.
right, right.
Okay, so you got Cromartie up.
Yep.
Anything special?
No, no, just you're holding Rogers or not holding them?
I'm playing behind Rogers.
Oh, okay, Blair Rogers. Okay.
All right, Cromartie. Oh, doubles 44 is a 7.
Ooh, we might have a calculation, just what we were talking about, RG, about
Yeah,
Rogers.
so that's a -1, which would be a plus to Seaver, so that gives him a 15. So 15 on a 7. is not enough to change anything.
All right.
So we
So
got a single to right.
yeah, who
Uh,
was that? What
unless he
batter was
bats,
that?
Cromartie, unless he
Okay.
bats, and he's a lefty, so he would be hitting it to right
Yep.
because it says if he bats right, it goes to left. So
Yep.
okay, so it's hit to right.
Mhm.
We got three set of numbers there. So you want me to roll to see which one of
Yeah.
those we got?
Yeah. Yeah. See which one, which third you're on.
Now, again, when there's just to clarify for the audience, when you got three sets of numbers, if you roll one dice, 1 and 2 is the first set, 3 and 4 is the middle set, 5 and 6 is the third set.
That's right.
A 5. So that set is you got the asterisk, which we don't have two outs, we got one. So we got 44 is the number we got.
Yeah. And how many outs are there? Two outs?
One out,
One out. Okay. So 44 is our hit value. And we see that it's going to right field because it says RF there, right field.
right? And that's Griffey.
All right.
Griffey's
So,
arm is a 35.
okay. So, as the offensive manager with one out, first thing I'm going to do is I want to see what my chances are of taking the extra base. So,
Okay.
first thing I want to do is what's Grippy's arm again?
35.
Okay. So, we're going to subtract 35 from that 44, and that'll give us nine.
Fine.
I think,
Uh-huh.
nine. And then we're going to add Roger's speed of 13.
It's 22.
22. So that's my chance at 36 for now. So remember, he wasn't getting held. So
Right.
this is kind of strat like. I'll give it's you just add one if it's a non-slow runner. So I'm just adding one to that 22.
So how do you know if he's slow?
It just says card. Look under his grade B. You know where like the runners are
Oh,
fast
yeah,
or
it
slow.
would. Yeah, I got you. So no, he's
Yeah,
not slow.
yeah, he's not slow. So it's WAP one, so it's 23 chances.
Okay.
So I'm thinking right now. So I'm gonna actually go for it, and we'll
So 23, that's 45, right?
Yeah, 45. Now, right here is a decision for you. So I said, okay, I'm going to go on I'm going on the hit. It's called going on the hit, like cuz he
Right.
hit it. So, you get to decide if you're going to try it for Rogers or not.
Now that's where we want to look at that third line number, right?
We're almost there. So if you could say, so Rogers is trying, what's his chances? 45 or less.
45, uh-huh.
Yeah, so I say I'm gonna send Rogers, and you could
Okay.
decide to throw or say you say, well, I'm gonna try to throw him out. And as
Right.
soon as you decide I'm gonna throw him out, then I could decide if I want to like take the extra base on that throw.
Right.
So
The trailing runner,
yeah, well, right, yeah, the trailing runner. So that'd be the batter in this case.
Cromartie.
So
Okay.
that yeah,
So now that's where the third number under the 23 is 8.
yeah.
So that's
So
a low number. So that would
yeah,
mean he's less likely to take that. Like if that was 17, there would
yeah,
be more chance Cromartie could take second on the throw.
yeah. Yeah, but let's play it out just to see how it works, just
Okay.
to see how it
Sure.
goes. So you're saying you're gonna try to throw Rogers out,
I'm
and
gonna try to
I'm
throw
gonna
Rogers out.
say, okay, since you're gonna try to throw Rogers, I'm gonna look at my chances of Cromartie taking the extra base. So I'm looking at that 8.
Okay.
I'm gonna add my Cromartie speed. He's you can see he's a 15.
Right.
So I'm going to say, okay, well, if you're going to do that, then my chances of getting the second base are going to be 23. So then you look at what their chances for 23, it's like 45.
Right. Which is
And
the
then,
same.
yeah, and then what you could do then, and now you have the final decision as the defense. You could say, all right, I'm going to give up on trying to get Rogers. I'm going to try to get Cromartie going to second.
Now, is this
That
where if I cut it off, you lose 15 on
Yeah,
Cromartie?
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So if you wanna try that, we could try that. So 23, minus 15 is what? 8. So since you decided to do that, you say, "Okay, well, I'm gonna get Cromartie since he's being dumb and trying to take second here. You're the, infielder. Yeah, I'm just gonna have a cutoff. I'm gonna let Rogers take third. There's no chance on Rogers now because 'cause you've given up on Rogers,
All right.
and, you're gonna
So that
try
would
to
be
get
a
Cromartie at second."
That'd be a 22, right?
Yeah, so now all you gotta roll now is a 22 or less, and you nail Cromartie.
Actually, anything over a 22, I nail Cromartie.
Right, you're exactly right. Hey, you caught the good call. Like I said, when the cameras come on, RG, your
Yeah,
IQ goes
no, I
like
get it.
100 points. So, but you're
Okay.
right. Yeah, 22 or less, he's safe. Anything higher than 22, he's out.
So do you guys play the master version at these tournaments?
You know what? The tournament itself is all basic. Really, but it's all basic.
Well,
We
that's
do
too
play some
bad.
one-off games. It takes a while. You're playing 10 games a day at the tournament, so you got to play a lot of games. You got to play them
Yeah,
fast.
no, I get it, but I mean, it seems to me like this would really shine head to
Yeah.
head,
Oh, it
you
is,
know?
and we play at games at night. After the tournament, just for fun.
Yeah,
Um, So we go to the factory. This is like the best weekend of the year. We go to the store. We buy everyone buys a set or so, just for fun, and
right?
we bring it back to the hotel. We crack them open and we play like a head-to-head master game. It's a good time.
Yeah.
So so that was a 7. Okay, so one other thing, if you want to see, well, what's this? Who's making the play on this? If you look at that play result 7 there,
Mhm.
see how it says like 6-4. It says shortstop, second base.
7.
See, there's
Yes.
a little parentheses. That
Uh-huh.
parentheses is the cutoff play. So, like, if you do have a cutoff play going on,
Right?
that's what the play is going to be. So, this play went from the right fielder, which was Griffey. So they're seeing. So instead of throwing the knight at third base, Concepcion's getting there. You just got to envision this. Concepcion's there between like third and second, seeing this all happen, like what the heck's Cromartie doing? He's trying to take second base, so Cromartie's going to cut it off, and he's going to fire to Morgan.
So do you
And
ever have a situation where the outfielder misses the cutoff man?
well, yeah, if you say I'm going to just try to throw home on like one of those really high success numbers, like if he's going to be safe on like 34 chances out of 36, but
So
you
that's
still
kinda
try
like
to,
missing the cutoff man?
yeah, exactly,
'Cause, I
but
mean, in this scenario, you're assuming that Griffey threw it to where Concepcion could get to it, you know what I mean?
yeah, right,
Whereas in real baseball, quite often they overthrow the cutoff man, and the cutoff man's not even an option, so I didn't know if that was
right.
kinda built into the game or not.
And with this, what we're seeing right now is where the fielder, like I was saying at the very beginning, now me and you are like playing like I
Yeah.
am Warren Cromartie and you're Dave Concepcion, and that's what makes the master game so awesome. Is like,
Okay, so now clarify for me again. You got short and second base in parentheses. How do we know which one's getting the cutoff?
well, it's a if you look at the play, so if we're going for the runner on first, like the extra base play is to the runner on third. So you have to kind of know a
Oh,
little bit about baseball about where is the shortstop going to be positioned in this play. Is he's like between the right fielder and the third baseman? And
usually,
the second baseman's covering second.
right? Oh, so
So,
they're saying it'll be the shortstop to the second baseman
yeah, so, like, it's gonna go
on the cutoff.
Griffey to Concepcion to Morgan. So
Morgan,
he's like,
gotcha.
it's like you kinda gotta know a little bit about the positioning, like who has to cover, but like I say, for guys like me and you, it's a
Yeah, no,
treat, you know?
yeah,
So,
no, it's fun.
yeah.
So anyway, so you're Cromartie's trying to go for second.
Yeah, so he's going second, I'm just taking I'm making a bonehead play at second. Now we know Rogers is safe now. So all you gotta roll is that 22 or 20
Yeah,
higher than 22, and he's out.
yeah. Obviously, Rogers at third with two outs is better. So yeah, well,
Yeah.
25.
Oh, close. So he's out. It was a close play, but he went when Griffey, Concepcion, Morgan. Now, one last thing we got to do though, RG.
Is
Look
check
at
the drop.
yeah. So now Morgan, we got to make sure he didn't drop it.
Okay.
So all you got to do is roll 2 dice.
So that's where's that chart at?
It's actually on the turn all the way around the very back page of what you're at there.
Oh,
Yeah, on the far right.
so I like what you said your buddy did is that he rolls the two
Yeah.
dice first and then if he see if he's there or not.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's almost like history maker at this point because you're like in a. So what'd you
Yeah,
roll there? 63.
63. So nobody's there.
Yeah, so nobody's there. So if it
So
was
he
like
did,
second base, so what's Morgan?
Morgan is a 8.
8. Okay, yes. If you would have landed on a square that said like second baseman 8, Morgan would have dropped that.
So basically on this, his number has to match this number, not be
Yeah, it has
less
to match
than or
it.
higher
Yeah.
than.
Yeah, it
It
has to
has
be exactly.
okay, so if we wrote a 41-2, he would have dropped it.
Yeah, exactly. So if you wrote a
Okay.
41, you're like, okay, there's a chance there's a second baseman 8 there. Now you got to roll one die, and if you rolled a 2, then it would have been dropped right there.
And then of course that's an error, right?
Yeah, that would have been Aaron Morgan.
All
But
right,
now
so
we got two. Was it 2 outs now? Runner on third.
yeah, so Rogers goes to third.
Hmm.
Cromartie, what did he singled? And
Yep.
then he was out running
Yep. It was
9-6-4.
yeah,
Um,
bonehead. Ever the announcers are like, "What a bonehead
yeah,
play Cromartie's doing there. He has no chance." And
announcers love that stuff. It gives them something to
yeah,
talk about.
it kind of caught Concepcion off guard. He was like, "They're saying like,
Is he
Concepcion doesn't
really?
know
Yeah,
what's he
is he
doing."
really doing this?
Yeah.
All right, so you got 2 outs
Yep.
and runner on third,
Yep.
and you got Chris Spire up.
Fire.
Let me get back to my. So we got runner on third chart. That's a really good idea that you
Yeah.
did about having this on your opening page. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That saves a lot of
that
flipping. A lot of
doesn't it
flipping.
though? I
Yeah.
mean, then even you didn't even mention it in the video, I don't think. But then you just flip it and you got your drop chart
Yep.
right there.
Yeah.
Wild throws. So
Yep.
yeah, that's brilliant.
It's yeah. I
You
got it.
should you should talk to the APBA people and have them lay the book out that way.
You know when it came about, I think I almost I saw it somewhere, or I maybe made it up, but I think it came about because when you're doing a replay, you're trying to play so many games, and you're looking for every little efficiency you can find and getting the game done, so for in a reasonable amount of time. So
Yeah, no, that's brilliant.
yeah,
This is one of those games. At least it would be for me. It's like APBA Basic would be like McDonald's.
right, right,
This would be like steak.
yeah, like a
Yeah,
steakhouse or something. Yeah,
right. This is shrimp. You know,
yeah,
4 cores. All right, so
yeah,
you got Spire up.
Spire, yeah,
Got her on third. He gets a 43. It's a 29. And that's to the pitcher. Short pop out, line
yeah,
out at first. So he's out either way. I
yeah.
guess
He's pointing out it's all PO1, fielding
ac-
ones 1-3, but
actually
depends on what you like to do.
one's a ground out. See, I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm anal. If I was by myself, I would have to roll. If it was,
Oh yeah, I
you
do
know,
that too sometimes. I it's like I'm gonna for fun. I'm gonna roll it I want to just so I can envision what actually happened.
yeah.
Is
I
it?
mean, there's a
Yeah,
big difference between a pop out, a line out, and a ground out to me. But
yeah,
we'll say he's
sure. Let's roll it.
out
Yeah,
one. Okay,
roll it.
yeah, it's my channel. I can do what I want.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so Rogers is a 2, 26, and a 2. He stays at a 1, and I think a 1 was a ground out.
Yeah,
That one,
out of
1 to
first
3.
runner holds. Have been a 1-3. Yep.
That was the third out. So.
Hmm.
All right, so um, would you be interested? We'll finish the bottom of the third, and then maybe pick up the game at another time,
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd
and
be
like
good.
finish the last 6 innings because we're about an hour and 45 minutes. So I don't think people are going to watch too
Yeah,
long.
right, right.
But I would really
Well,
enjoy, finishing the game if you'd be up for
yeah,
that later.
yeah, it'd be awesome. We can finish
Okay.
it now if you want after we're all done here.
I'd like to get it on the channel as a
Yeah.
kind of a part two,
Uh huh.
because this is how I learn, and so
Yeah.
hopefully this, people who are interested in this and just feel kind of overwhelmed by it would see that, hey, this is actually isn't too bad after all, because
Yeah.
that's
We do
kind of
part
what
two.
I'm seeing by doing this.
Yeah.
It's like this isn't so bad. It's
Yeah.
going to take me some learning, but
You do like
all right,
next
well,
Saturday or something, or
okay.
someday this week. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. But
Mhm.
you good for finishing the bottom of the third here?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah,
All right,
yeah, I'm good.
we got Griffey.
This
He
is fun, RG. This is like I don't get the for example, I don't get a chance to play somebody face head to head, which is
Yeah,
even more of a treat for
I was gonna
myself.
say that's like an
Yeah,
added bonus, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
All right. Except you don't get to roll the dice. That kind of
yeah.
stinks.
Ah,
That's
it's
a
like
part of
almost
the
like I'm hitting like a dice roller here with you doing it.
26 is a 32. The base is empty. 32 is out to right across the
Mhm.
board. One away.
It's like I'm having that magic moment right now, RG, where like I was saying in my one video is like you start getting sad, the game's almost over. Like I'm kind of getting like upset, like, oh man, it's like
Can we
one
can we
out.
finish it?
Yeah. Hey, but hey, you two, we want to cater the audience, so let's do it.
All right. Joe Morgan, flight out to right, his last at bat. 43 is a 29. And that's out to the pitcher, 1 to
Yep.
3 across the board.
Yep.
2 out. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Again, when you watch videos and you see, like when you're doing the base advance, it's just like, man,
Mhm.
that's so terrifying. But when you sit down and actually play it, like you said,
Yeah.
it's a lot like basic. It's just,
Yeah.
but it gives you those extra things that trouble you about basic if you're a baseball nut.
Yeah.
Is that they're actually fixed in the master, and so that's great.
Yeah, and we made that play with Cromartie. That's about as complex as you're going to get with the master game. That play we did, I mean, that's about as
Yeah, and that wasn't
complex
bad
a
at all.
situation. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
again, once you get a few of those under your belt,
Right.
it's just, and again, cutting your losses. That was a great video
Right.
you did. I mean, it's just like a lot of it is like, okay, the hit value is a 20. I ain't messing with it.
Yeah.
That's not, that's just carry on,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
so you get to where you learn when you actually need to take it to the next step.
Yep.
So,
Yep. In the situation, all that, like last out of
yeah.
third, you don't want to do, and all that
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
exactly. If you know
Mhm.
that you're not gonna try to risk it going to third, for the third out anyways,
Right.
why even calculate it?
Right.
All right, 2 out for Foster, who whiffed his first at bat. 43 is a 29, and that's what we had before, wasn't it?
Yep.
1 to 3. All right. So if you're good with it, I would love
Yeah.
to get these next six innings in, maybe next Saturday if you're
Yeah.
good for that.
Yeah. Sounds good. We could have part two. Part two.
Yeah, maybe
the
if I get wild and woolly, we might do it live.
Yeah.
If
Maybe even
if
put a scoreboard up like a score like Dave has, with
Yeah,
the
well,
because
Dave
what is it?
is
It's 3
he's
nothing
the
top of the 4th?
he's like the Jedi master
Oh, I know.
when it comes
It
to that
looks so
stuff.
nice. I get so jealous.
It's 3 to nothing. Yep. Knight hit a 2-run home run, and then Concepcion hit a home run right after it, a solo shot. So
Yep.
we got 3-0 in the top of the fourth.
Yep, and we had the one bonehead running mistake by Cromartie. He's
Yeah,
getting a little
he probably wouldn't have done that in real life, but
yeah,
it gave us a really good chance to see how that worked. I
yeah,
kind of feel bad for not trying to steal third in the first with Collins.
yeah. We had it was close. Well, yeah, we had Gary Carter there too, so we were like,
But
we didn't
but
want
we
to.
we figured out the calculation, so that was
Yeah,
the important thing. So
yeah. And we covered a lot of different things too in the master game. I mean, one thing we didn't hit was maybe we get this in the last 6 innings is like the rare plays and stuff.
yeah, you
And
you said that that's where this game really shines, and
oh
I
yeah,
love a good rare play. I mean, and that was one thing. And again, I haven't played enough mass basic
hmm
to be tired of it yet. In other words, there's still results that I find in basic that's really cool, and
yeah.
so I imagine this is probably that on steroids.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna get what's amazing about it is, like, after like thousands of games playing this, like, there's some rare plays in there I haven't seen yet. Well, it's
Mm.
like they're buried in there somewhere. I haven't even looked at them yet. So
If you hit one of those, that'd probably be a lot like having a no hitter, wouldn't it?
yeah, it's I had an amazing one. These, we talk about these games and things like Ron had that Mendoza home run and that walk off on his action
Yeah,
PC.
yeah.
I had a rare play where, Robin Yount got, caught with a cork bat, like a
Oh,
illegal bat, and I was like,
yeah.
"Robin Yount?" And, like, it happened in the game, like, Robin Yount and I always remember that Robin Yount got, kicked out of a game for using an illegal bat. So
Yeah, I mean that's the stuff. Let me get back to that's the stuff that you'll remember forever.
yeah, yeah,
That's why we play these games for that kind of stuff.
yeah, it gets burned in your memory, so,
Yep.
yeah, exciting, RG.
Well, thank you very much,
Mhm,
Thibault. I
yeah,
appreciate it greatly. This has been a huge help and a lot of fun. And like I said, if you're up for it, we will
yeah,
try to get back and do the last 6 innings. And except for the rare plays, can you think of anything that we didn't touch on somewhat? I think we hit most of it, didn't
well
we?
I'd like to maybe hopefully we get a situation where it gets really like a base is loaded with like a double or something where then we have like multiple runners to decide on, like something really juicy, we could really sink our teeth into and really knock out everything with the master game. So you could say leave no stone unturned here.
Yeah, that one with Cromartie was close. We
Yeah,
had 2 runners, I
right.
guess if it had been, 1st and 2nd,
Yeah.
that would have been you'd had the 3,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, like a
Okay.
single with like maybe a bases loaded single with some cutoff options.
Right.
Like where guys like gonna try for home, but maybe the guy on like first trying for third, and maybe the batters, going to second and different things like that. I don't know, like we covered a lot here, RG. Wow.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
I feel really good. Again, my main purpose of this was for me to learn how to play it,
Yeah.
and I feel like I did very well, and so if we can help
Yeah.
other people play it as well, that would be an added bonus. So,
Yeah.
again, I
Whatever.
appreciate it, and I look forward to us getting together and, we'll
Okay.
finish the game.
Sounds good. Look
All
forward
right.
to it.
Thank you. Talk to you
Have a good
later.
day. See ya.